the life that I have today is going to be at risk, if not immediately turned to trash fire. Having that level of consequence there is just added fuel for maintaining all of these life steps, because it's not just for alcoholics, it's for everyone. It's a design for living. And kind of wish everybody could have that experience and motivation to do these simple things. Because if I didn't have the alcoholism to motivate me, I don't know that I would. Actually getting it out of my head, pen to paper, and visualizing what it is that's going on in my head can stop the spiral and diffuse whatever's going on. There's so much an abundance of things to be grateful for. Just pausing to reflect on that. Before I got sober, I had kind of written off, I don't know that I can go back to playing music. All of the fears that I had, can I still be creative? That completely went to the wayside after I recognized now I'm more prolific at doing the things that I love than ever.
Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. We're bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Hey, are you feeling a little stuck in life? I offer wellness coaching sessions. Book a session with me if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead. Sessions are available worldwide. And check this out. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high-quality supplements. We've simplified your shopping experience and given you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. And did you know all our Collaborative Resource Hub interviews air on YouTube as well as all major podcast platforms? Subscribe to stay in the loop. Go immerse yourself in the full Collaborative Resource Hub experience over on our website. You'll have access to helpful resources that will inspire and educate you. So let's inspire each other. If that guy did it, so can you. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer. Nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance. Fred from Lower Class Brats, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's Friday.
It is Friday.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Do you just enjoy your weekends, or what do you do on weekends?
It depends. Like I have a daughter, so we split time with her mom. So every other weekend is usually this is my weekend. So there's usually music and riding bikes. So that's kind of the main two themes. And then on weekends with my daughter, anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like
Cool.
it's with the pandemic, I've had a lot more time with her, so it's been awesome.
Special bonding time.
Exactly.
What are some of her favorite bands right now?
Recently, it's funny because when she was younger, I'd taken her to like a Lower Class Brats show. Was one of her first concerts. We were playing with TSOL in Orange County. So it was a huge show. It was awesome. She comes out, like she got her picture in the OC Weekly. Like it was super cool. And I was just like, what do you think? She's like, eh.
Seriously?
Seriously. But now she's almost 12. So that was, I don't know, 6 years, five years ago. So now, she's starting to realize like, oh, this music stuff's pretty cool. Like she's picked up guitar, which is awesome, and she's gonna be clearly way better than I could have ever been. But she's like through School of Rock, she's been taking a lot of lessons. So
Cool.
she's upset. She's really obsessed with AC/DC, which I'm all for. I'm all for whatever she likes and whatever resonates with her.
Yeah.
First and foremost, but that one was pretty cool. So
That's badass. That's good.
yeah.
So what does wellness mean to you?
Not setting my life on fire. As I was prone to do for many years. Today, I guess, after many years of sobriety, looking at, if I were to chart my my life out on like on a line graph. Looking at it historically would have been all over the place, like
Yeah.
super high highs, super low lows. And I think for me, like life still happens, like there's all sorts of experiences that, can bring all different kinds of feelings, sadness, happiness, like all of that still happens. But I think the wellness piece of that is trying to minimize the swings and how I react to things that happen in life. So it's not constantly going off the charts, like something that I perceive as great just happened and then virtually manic state
Right.
to, something that makes me feel uncomfortable. Just all of a sudden the bottom drops out. So it's kind of dealing with life on life's terms and kind of keeping that, flow within normal tolerances, I
Yeah.
guess. So,
Yeah. Staying like even keeled, just balance.
yeah.
What are like, I guess, so I have like two questions because they all kind of go together though. But what's your sobriety journey been like? And then also, how have you learned to kind of stay balanced and manage ups and downs?
Yeah. For me, I came into recovery through rehab. So it was, for years, I did a lot of geographics, which, it's not me, it's where I am. So I'm not the problem, it's Virginia.
Right.
So moving to California because there's no drugs there.
How'd that work out?
Well, instead of going to rehab in Virginia, I went to rehab in California.
Yeah.
So I have a long line of alcoholism in the family. So it wasn't a surprise. Like, I was even explicitly warned, like, hey, this is probably not going to work out well for you. I was like, yeah, whatever. I got this. What the catalyst was for going into rehab wasn't as dramatic as some stories I've heard in the program and whatever. And really what I learned was that doesn't matter. It's kind of wherever you're willing to throw in the towel on trying to manage your life the way that you've been managing or living it the way that you've been living it. So like for me, it was, I hadn't quite lost my job yet. I hadn't, quite lost my residence. Like that was all about that close to happening. So it was just, finally actually saying out loud that I had a problem and I didn't want to live like that anymore. And finally opening up about that to close friends and family, that flipped the switch and started the process for like, all right, let me find a rehab. For me, that was my journey. I know a lot of people go straight into programs and that's awesome. Like for me, it was great to be in a structured recovery place. So I was like in rehab for 3 months and then in sober living for better part of another year. So it was
That's
a
good.
long, slow reentry into life, which I'm super grateful for that I had that opportunity to kind
Yeah.
of.
Because like if you hadn't, I mean, if you had maybe just done the 3 months and then jump back into the real world, like, do you think that would have just totally screwed you up?
I don't know, but I definitely feel like I had a much better chance because of all the experiences that I had in sober living and rehab. Like also I feel like it almost upped my stake in the game on staying sober because rehab's not cheap. Neither was sober living. And it was just
Yeah.
I was like, I can't fuck this up. Like, I put too much of my time and my money into trying to make this work, and to just go right back out and end up in the same place. Like, I don't know that I would have through those early days like stuck with it as much as I had, given the investment that I put into it.
Yeah.
So
Did you learn, like, is there like one or two things that you learned while, in those experiences with the sober living and rehab that have stayed with you that were really fundamental in keeping you moving forward?
yeah, I mean, one was that I never want to go back there. So it's kind of remembering where I was, like in hindsight, what it was like day to day. Like, that has been it's still like a driving force, and one, remembering how far I've come, because it's easy to forget about where I was. But I think all of that was just a microcosm for life. So you're in this kind of pressure cooker of sobriety and dealing with learning to recognize that the substance abuse was that was a symptom. It wasn't the actual issue. Mm-hmm. It was like dealing with life on life's terms, being able to interact with other people and recognize, like, one of the things is just like, if I'm upset with someone, it's usually because I see something in them that is me.
Yeah.
So I'm angry at me.
Yeah. The whole mirroring thing. We're all like each other.
Yeah. So it's like all of that, having that much experience compressed into such a short period of time and being able to recognize what's going on. I mean, that's predominantly been my journey in sobriety. It's like always recognizing what's going on with me. Another one was, and I think some of your other guests have talked about this, it's just like, did I sleep enough? Did I eat? Did I like, and I thought it was hilarious because it's like, I have my daughter, and like when she was a baby, it's like, did she eat? Is she tired?
You can always do it for someone else.
I'm like, and I was joking about it one night at dinner. I was like, oh yeah, it's like that's hilarious, but it's like 100% true. Anytime like I feel irritable, discontent, whatever, I'm like, are you hungry? I was like, oh, I haven't eaten, and I missed lunch. Like, oh, I got less than 7 hours of sleep last night. There's like just going down the checklist. So it's just like diffuses whatever I'm feeling at that point in time. Like if I'm, want to scream at the world, like it's like, no, eat something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, but it's such good awareness to have, and it's like intercepting the crazy.
Oh yeah, the crazy is always there. It's just bubbling beneath the surface. It's like, how much am I willing to let come through?
Yeah, and figuring out like how, like, whether it's awareness or just even just like a mantra kind of thing in your head, but like how to cut in and intercept that and course correct.
Right. I mean, for me, like I will recite the Serenity Prayer in my head over and over again until like I'm back in a place where I can reconnect and interact with the world. And it's kind of like going back to the, crazy highs, crazy lows. Like part of that is not, flying off the cuff, and instead of pausing and recognizing what's going on with me at any given point in time, like whether it be super excited about something or super bummed about something, like, tempering my response to any situation and not just reacting and flying off the cuff.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
A lot more within the bounds of reasonability.
Yeah. It's challenging. That's awesome that you've figured that out and you know how to manage that.
Yeah. I mean, and part of that is not doing it by myself. It's always surrounding myself. And this has kind of come naturally as I've evolved in sobriety. Like the people that are in my life today are there's a lot of friends that I have from like middle school that I'm still seriously, like friends that I made through punk and through music. I'm just fortunate that, I didn't start playing shows early high school, but and I was in a military family, so we moved a lot. But going back to like middle school, there was like a core group of like 5 6 friends that somehow have all just landed in Los Angeles. And we've stayed in contact over the years. As like, so I have this core group of great friends that are either straight edge or, just kind of normie, but we had this through line of punk
Yeah.
throughout it all. So like those friends, still have in my life, but like in my disease kind of not sober life, those friends that came up through that time, they've just kind of gone to the wayside. And like there's a much healthier core group of people that is a reflection of kind of where I am today versus where I was then.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you want to surround yourself, with people where you're at or better than you, so that you're just inspired and motivated and still,
Right.
continue to learn and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
it's awesome. Like I have to pause every now and then just to recognize how awesome it is, like to have this life today.
Yeah. So do you do like a gratitude practice, or are you just aware and just have those moments?
I definitely make a concerted that like there have been times where I actually physically write it down. Pen to paper is always has always been helpful in actually visualizing, and especially if my brain is going off the rails with all sorts of thoughts
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that can easily spiral out of control into some crazy like actually getting it out of my head, pen to paper, and visualizing what it is that's going on in my head can stop this spiral and diffuse whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little slower than others to actually get the pen to paper, but I feel like these days since just been practicing it for going over 15 years now, like it's become kind of a default state, like pause, recognize all the things, because it's very easy to focus on all the things that aren't happening or didn't happen, or oh, that's never going to happen, like all these crazy thought is like, well, let's just look at the facts. And here's it's just there's so much an abundance of things to be grateful for at any given moment, like just pausing to reflect on that.
Yeah. Do you feel like by being in gratitude more and just appreciation, that more good things happen in your life versus, if you're paying attention to the negative stuff, then like negative things and just bad shit kind of happens?
Yeah, I don't know that anything, I don't feel like the world itself or the universe changes at all, but my perception of it definitely does. And like, while all of those things could be happening, like what I'm focusing on is what's resonating with me at that given point in time. So whatever's going to happen, I don't know if it changes the course of time, the time-space continuum, but it can make the journey to get there a lot longer.
Yeah.
Focusing on everything that is crushing my soul. And I definitely think there's an argument there for like, if that's what I'm projecting out into the world, it's gonna bring more of that into my life. So I don't know if that impacts anything, but I don't want to find out. So.
Yeah. That's the best answer. But no, it's true. It's it's perception. Because like they say, like there's 3 truths, right? Yours, the other person's, and then the reality.
Right.
So it's like that.
It's hilarious. It's like, just even I did a podcast with a buddy of mine, and that we used to play together in this band Darkest Hour. And it was just recounting like stuff that had happened on tour, like, years ago. And I mean, it was hilarious to hear what I remembered versus what he remembered versus like somewhere in the middle was probably what actually happened.
Yeah.
This was tempered through, I was drinking at the time. So
Yeah.
I was not a reliable narrator.
But it's also so interesting that just like all of like the human brain is so our memory is so unreliable anyway.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, that's a whole
Like we
other
were talking
thing,
about before the podcast. Now more than ever, my memory is very unreliable.
yeah. So how do you like now, or I mean in the last so many years, but like what does touring look like to you with making like an effort to have a healthier balancing experience?
Well, the last like tour I went on was like leading into the pandemic. So I was with Span Prong in Europe, and it was right as everything was starting to shut down. So like we played in Milan at the night that they shut everything down and the pandemic exploded in Italy. um and like our merch guy actually came down with what we think it was COVID. Luckily no one else on the tour got it. I don't know how. Like his head, he was sleeping backwards in the bunk for some reason. So like head to the front of the bus, and my head was like right next to his. So like there was ever like if I was ever gonna get
Yeah, that was the perfect climate.
so maybe that's a way to not stay healthy on tour. But like I don't like that whole tour. That was the first time I had been back to Europe in a while. And I just remember even throughout, like, I mean, I was just excited to be there, one, and just like having all these memories come back from like other tours there that, every time it's like, I'm never going to make it back here. Like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Like, there's no way this could ever happen again. And then like this last tour was like playing venues that I thought that, no, that's for bigger bands. Like we'll never make it there. And it's not like we were playing arenas or anything like that, but it's still just like things that I always thought were impossible. And then every day during that tour, it was kind of like recognizing like, oh man, like this is something that I never thought was possible. And just coming at it from that perspective, regardless of how the show went or whatever, it's just like, I never got into music because it was, all of the, the glitz and glamour and whatever. It was like, I want to travel. I want to have life experience, and like really recognizing that I'm getting to do that. And first and foremost, all the other stuff, like did sound check go bad? Like, what we didn't get what we wanted backstage for our rider. Like, oh man, the show's running late. Like, no, this is awesome. Like, I mean,
It's perspective.
yeah, like it's even getting, because like before I got sober, I had kind of written off, like, I don't know that I can go back to playing music anymore. Like all of the fears that I had about it, like, can I still be creative without substances? All of that completely went to the wayside after I recognized, oh, wait, no, like now I'm more prolific at writing and doing the things that I love than ever. And like I'm able to focus on it. I'm actually able to, complete things. Like I don't forget everything because, I'm hungover or I was drunk at the time. And I had this, and 9 times out of 10, like the drunken ideas were garbage. So it's just recognizing it at this point in my life, like being able to get to do all of these things. Like I get to do these things, and it's beyond my wildest dreams that, I get to go play shows, even though there was this pandemic looming over us. It's still like, I'm in Europe. This is great. I'm in a different country every day. Like, that was like the first time I'd ever been on a bus for a full tour. I was just like, this is amazing. like everything's just like, this is the best.
That's so cool though. That like, that makes my heart happy for you, that like you just have that much appreciation and stuff for everything.
Yeah, it's great. Like even like we were talking about Park Rock Bowling, it's like we're going on at 2 a.m, but like, hey, the show's sold out and like people are stoked. And it's like I might pass out on stage because that's way past my bedtime. And I don't know where there's any Red Bulls or caffeine. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna go for it and see what happens.
But then the adrenaline kicked in and I'm sure you did fine.
I don't think we got off stage until like after 3 a.m. And there were definitely some, like, I'd be like, all right, I'm good for the first like 3 or 4 songs. Like, yeah. And then there was like a,
Oh
like,
no.
moment. And I'm like, oh, just chug some water, then like around a
Pour it
bit.
on
Like,
yourself.
we got this. We got this.
Oh my God. Here's an advert in less than 20 seconds. Did you know that Wellness Provisions offers one-on-one wellness sessions? Yep. So if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead in life, but feeling a little stuck, then book a session and let's get you unstuck. Now back to the interview. So like after shows though, how do you like relax to be able to go to bed?
That's been definitely a gift of sobriety, is being able to shut my brain off, learning how to go to sleep. Like I remember the first time I just went to bed at a normal time, and because of rehab, like everything's structured, and getting into the practice of like quieting my mind and getting into a space where I'm able to go to sleep, just having so many years of practice with that. Like it's no different after a show or watching a movie or
Yeah.
whatever's happening, like all the stimulus in my head, being able to, it's like, all right, now we're gonna go into quiet mode. And some of that's been like through meditation and, you know, going through guided meditations and practicing that and getting into a mode where it's like, all right, we can shut down now.
Yeah. And having the intention that like, okay, I'm going, like I'm in, you know, decompress mode to go to sleep.
Yeah.
What, like, I guess, is there anything specific, like healthy changes aside from just sobriety, maybe, that have, you know, impacted your creativity?
Well, I mean, exercise, like another thing that came back into my life, and like I used to race road bikes, like cycling. And that kind of went to the wayside once music came around. So now it's kind of finding balance and like starting to ride a lot more. In the last, I don't know, 6 years has been mostly getting away from road riding into mountain biking. So it's more getting into nature and getting away from cars, getting away from people, like, and just being in a quiet space, and also exercising, which is great. And it's, you know, but like with mountain biking, it's been great because it's like I'm, you know, big kid playing in the dirt in the woods. So
Yeah.
it's not to like,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's having balance and watching what I eat. I'm 100% vegetarian, mostly vegan, and recognizing what foods, how they interact with my body, and what's okay and what's not. Like I used to love ice cream, but my body does not. So, you know, sorting out like what's essentially poisonous to my body
Yeah.
and away from that. And, you know, not that I'm good with moderation, but trying to find some balance there in terms of like staying on a schedule with, all right, well, I eat breakfast at this time, I eat lunch at this time, I eat dinner at this time, and trying to stick with that so everything's regular.
Yeah.
And, you know, that goes back to like, did I eat? Like, I don't have to really think about it because I know, okay, it's 12 o'clock, I'm going to eat lunch.
Yeah. And that's so good for like your blood sugar levels and stuff, which will help keep you, you know, your sanity level.
Yeah. And it's so funny because it seems like ridiculous to say out loud, like, well, you've got to eat. And like, I feel like a kid, but it's like, there's a reason.
But more people, like that's
Yeah.
like the ticket though, is, you know, treating yourself like you would treat a child, talking to
Right,
yourself like you would talk to a child, with that like compassion and kindness, and
right,
overseeing that they're making the right choices.
right. Yeah, that inner voice, like switching it to being my own worst critic to being loving and compassionate is, you know, it's a never ending journey. But I feel like even that voice has gotten much softer over time, and recognizing when it's harsh, it's not reality, and being able to at least recognize that to change what the tone of voice is
Yeah.
coming at me. It's less Bobcat Goldthwait and more
Good.
like
Yeah. But so you're in tune to like self-talk.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of self-talk. So,
Um, if let's say someone was listening to this and they heard you talking about meditation and they're like, wow, that guy meditates. I've heard about that. What would you say to them?
man, the when it was first brought up to me, like it seemed like this crazy otherworldly mystical, like especially in the program, it's something that's, you know, suggested that you do. And I was like, and in rehab they would, you know, be like, all right, you have to meditate for 5 minutes, and that was the only instruction given. I'm like, so timer for 5 minutes, like what do I do? um so I kind of fumbled around with that. I think one thing that was most impactful and eye-opening was, and especially in the early days of sobriety, like with my inner voice, how harsh that could be. Like trying to sit quietly with that was not so fun. And actually going to, I took a guided meditation class, which was at a Buddhist temple. In like I would say I'm probably agnostic, but like open to trying any sort of experiences out there. And the monk that was teaching the class like was hilarious. So it was a guided meditation, and just I was able to latch on to his voice, his sense of humor, and apply that to my meditation practice. And also just like things to latch on to like start bringing myself to a place where I'm observing thoughts coming through my head and not like latching onto them and being like, oh yeah, that thing happened, and oh letting those things kind of float by, which like now with all, and that was kind of before a lot of these meditation apps came out, just trying those, like having something that can replace your own voice and give you some ideas on, you know, tools that resonate with you for getting to a place of meditation. And then the other thing that's been really helpful is like recognizing that meditation doesn't have to be a set amount of time where I go into a closet and turn all the lights off. Like it can be any point during my day. I can reset and just pause and put some of those tools to work to quiet my mind so that I can recenter and re-engage in life without setting it on fire.
I love it. So do you do like if you're, let's say you're like running errands or something, and like the person driving in front of you was crazy before you got to the store, and then that guy's just like in your space, will you just kind of tap into like breathing exercises if you're like out and about, or like what does that look like?
It's like in that scenario, I ffeel like traffic, especially in LA,
Oh
like
God.
the barometer for how am I doing? Like, because if I'm doing well, like no one else is upsetting me. So recognizing like if I'm starting to get upset with those people that were annoying me before I got to the store, or someone cut me off or whatever, it just like recognizing that that's an indicator that, yes, do anything other than focus on that, because that's not the problem. The problem's, in here. I'm
Yeah.
quoting myself for the podcast.
Yeah. That's
It's in me.
in those words, it's perfect. It's so true, because I don't know, it was like last week or something, and I was driving, and that was like, this car was being crazy, and it was just all this and I recognized this. So I was like, but I am like super tense right now. I'm stressed out about whatever stuff going on. So it was just like a mix of just bad energy stuff.
Oh yeah, and I definitely manifest in like stress, and like feel myself getting tense, and it's like, and like you're saying with the breath work, I mean, that's part of, like, take a deep breath, recognize this is me sitting in this chair, driving, or what, just breathing. Nothing's fucked, dude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For a movie quote.
Yeah. Perfect. We got some Big Lebowski in here. That totally threw me off now. I guess, are there any other things that you do that you haven't mentioned that you kind of use to stay level and de-stressed, throughout like just regular routine?
I don't know. I feel like just staying active with the things that I love in my life. Like, it's very easy to get complacent with music, with exercise, with engaging with my family, like staying engaged with friends, and being mindful of trying to keep all those facets of my life going throughout the day. So it's very easy, especially in pandemic times, to just get sucked into content. And it's crazy how many hours can be like I can spend on like consuming garbage, when I look at, okay, well, I just spent an hour on social media. What could I have created on the other hand, or done outside the house, or like gone for a run, like, worked on some music, practiced guitar, like called my daughter, called a friend. Like, there's so many more enriching things that could be fed into my soul. So being mindful of that at all times, there's always an alternative to the stasis of social media and movies and junk food or whatever's out there.
Yeah, which is just kind of stagnant, just like a plateau.
Because and I guess in sobriety, I've recognized it's not like, early on. I remember the first time I left rehab to go, it was actually to go get rid of my apartment. Like, I was giving it up and we were going to move everything out. And it was the first time kind of going back into that space since I had been out, and it was like for a couple months. So I was already kind of stressed about that, like going back to the scene of the crime. But also, like, I remember just these irrational thoughts that, like, as soon as I leave the rehab, there's going to be someone with a drink that's forcing me to drink it, which is absurd. But like, over time, it's what I've realized is like not doing the maintenance on all of those checks, like staying connected, pausing to, for gratitude, getting exercising, eating, sleeping. Like, if I go for a long enough period of time of not doing a little bit of all of those things, that's what's going to take me off the rails. It's not going to be this one instance that, someone shoves a drink in my face and I take it, like, or forces me to take it. It's going to be a long, slow process of not doing the things that I know that work, and then ultimately leading to a scenario where I can't deal with life on life's terms anymore. And that's what's going to be the switch. And yeah, I'm grateful for that too, being an alcoholic, because I know where I go when it's like, I may not die, but the life that I have today is definitely going to be at risk, if not immediately turned to trash fire. So like, having that level of consequence there is just added fuel for maintaining all of these simple life steps, because it's not just for alcoholics, it's for everyone. It's like, it's a design for living. And it's like, I kind of wish that everybody could have that experience and have that motivation to just do these simple things. Because if I didn't have the alcoholism to, motivate me for all that, I don't know that I would. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, in other words, it's having a why, what drives you and keeps you moving forward instead of 2 steps back.
Yep.
Cool. Do you have a favorite quote that you would like to use for this?
Oh man.
Now.
I kind of feel like nothing's fucked, dude. Was perfect.
Yeah.
Said you'll know it when it comes up. I mean, that's kind of everything that encapsulates my daily routine. Like if I start to go down the negativity space, like nothing is fucked. Like everything is the way it should be. And just how I'm relating to it is not centered with the rest of the universe. So, and I have the tools to recenter myself should I choose to, and most I choose to. So
yeah, when would you not?
And these days I don't. I feel like earlier in life it was something that I would indulge in, because there's a certain rush from just being a total asshole. But then there's also so much wreckage and consequence that, like, whatever that rush was for being a total jerk, there's that equally and possibly lower low of having to deal with all of the wreckage from that one moment of gratification for being I was so right that I could say this totally shitty thing, and now like the wreckage from that, dealing with that is not something I'm willing to do.
Yeah, you like struck the match, but now you actually have a fire.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so the tagline for my business is delay dying. So I like to ask everybody if you could give someone, tips or advice on how to delay dying, or in other words, live happier and healthier, what would you say?
Delayed dying.
Yeah.
I'd say focus on the things that are important to you in life, and focus more time and effort into pursuing those things, and maintaining balance, being able to, be active, watch, treat yourself, treat your body as a temple.
You went there, but it's true.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like all of these like crappy sayings that I feel like, as much as I hate saying that they have some credence to them, like, I mean, that's ultimately what I do on a daily basis. And hopefully that translates into dying much later.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Well said. And for anyone who needs that kind of like those, little sayings, just shop at Target, and like that's all the wall art that you can buy at Target.
Hang in there, crappy cat.
I was just talking to somebody, another interview, and he was saying, I'm hanging in there. And I'm like, and I did like the cat thing. I should have that. I should just do a random episode and have that poster behind me. See if anyone notices.
Oh, just like the crappy office motivational posters. Just have a different one every week. I mean, that could be expensive. Although I bet they've got to have, like, you can buy in bulk, like, all things for like $5 off of the interweb.
Yeah, all things are possible in that world.
Just have a golf course behind you.
Well, that's like they do on Zoom. It's like you can, like, I could have the beach behind me or whatever.
Life's a beach.
Mic drop. We're done. Do you guys have anything cool coming up or coming out like in the new year?
The Brats just reissued new seditionaries on vinyl. I think we still have that up on our Big Cartel store, so that's up on our Instagram. There's a link to that. We're also have a new record that's slated to come out. Has been slated to come out for some time now, but vinyl backlogs are we're at the whim of that. So there's actually two records. There's that one that's done and is getting pressed. And then we have the majority of a new record immediately kind of following that. So that's on the horizon. Definitely be on the lookout for that. I have a new YouTube channel called Between Two Amps that is hopefully launching probably by the time this comes out. So it'll be on YouTube. It's with my friend Niraj Kane. He was from this band Hope Conspiracy, Suicide File, Hesitation Wounds. So all things punk, gear, music journey as punks. That's the focus of that show. And then been working on a new album for my band Godcollider. That's a hardcore band that we're looking to have that out this year as well. So a lot of stuff on
so much good stuff. And the name of your YouTube channel, oh my God. I hope that you have do you have where you guys are filming set up like a similar stage?
Yeah, it's evolving. So we're trying to be conscientious of having 2 amps at all times.
Yeah.
To really capitalize on the poaching of IP.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, this chat has been so much fun, and just everything you said, I love. It's just, you have such a healthy perspective on life. So thank you for sharing everything.
Well, I really appreciate you having me, Amy. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
We live in the face of